That on-ramp class, it has so many different types of people in it. Older people, young kids, overweight folks, people who have never exercised a day in their life, all the way to the athlete who, didn't we have an arena football player or something like that, or a
Yeah.
motocross guy, or, I mean, obviously
Oh wait,
he's,
we had someone in our last one used to
yeah,
play hockey.
hockey.
That's
Oh
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's too. That's too. So I mean, we've had some really, really cool stories. And so yeah, it's just a really cool way, and again, a good avenue to be able to see so many different types of people and different types of athletes. How do they learn, and kind of put you more in a slower environment to really be able to hone in on your coaching skills, as opposed to maybe a group or a class management skill
Hmm.
that kind of comes later. So
Yeah. So I guess moving on a little bit, how do you take all of what you know that we've heard so far and apply that to a specific athlete to help them reach the goals that they want to achieve?
yeah, I think before we move forward, everyone can be different. It's not necessarily always going to be these few categories. You do have your exceptions, but for the most part, I try to break it down into three categories basically. So our first one is anything that's a very specific type of training. This can be our sports training, and this could be for teams. This could be for individuals. It could also be a very personal, specific training reason, all the way from someone who maybe learns differently. I spoke on it a little bit earlier. Maybe someone has literally a learning disability, and maybe they need that in a one person, one off situation, not a group training. Sometimes not the best reason. That's why we have on-ramp classes, but maybe someone's never exercised before, ever. And just, that anxiety that they get being in
Hmm.
front of other people, failing or not being able to do something, feeling stupid, those kinds of things, that can obviously lead to something one-on. And then lastly, I would just say, even if it's not sports, maybe it's an event related thing. You know what? I want to walk my first half marathon, or I want to do this. Maybe that's something that we need to specifically set aside for just the two of us. Secondly, we've already touched on it, but our development athletes. So again, that competitive programming. This is for specifically someone who really just wants to enhance their skills, right? Get better at CrossFit specifically. So maybe the 1 hour a day is not doing it for you. Maybe you have now realized that, hey, I'm very comfortable with what we do. I know the movements very well. I'm really to the point now where I'm just not doing this specific thing enough, or I need this volume to see myself improve to that next level. So this could be anything, again, to just improving faster. Some people have very personal reasons. Maybe it's a specific thing in CrossFit they want to get better at, whether it's like a broad term like strength or gymnastics or conditioning, but they just know that they need a little bit more. Other people, from a competitive standpoint, right, local or even kind of a large scale competition, and that can mean sanctionals, that can mean the CrossFit Games,
Mm.
but for a lot of our people, it is more just like a state away or a local competition, something like that. And then again, maybe you're just that person that just loves to work out. I just need that extra volume. I'm not happy unless I get 2 hours a day.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. Well, this might be for you then.
Yeah.
And then our third one, and this is our money, right? This is where we live. This is what we care the most about. It's our CrossFit class programming. So this is targeted, primarily for the people who just, they want to be fitter or healthier, and they just want to be able to do more with their lives, whether that's from a day-to-day basis or being a parent, living longer, doing better at their jobs, being in a better mood, those kinds of things, just thriving in life.
Yeah. So for us, I mean, those are the people that we spend a majority of our time working with. The competitive athletes and the specific training, personal training, that those are smaller percentages. They still happen, but a large majority of the people that we interact with on a daily basis are for the lifestyle things. They want to be fitter. They want to look better. They want to, be able to do more things in their life. So what does it look like to program specifically for these people?
We try to not get too complicated with this, and all I mean is CrossFit's already given us a guideline to follow. But even then, it's like you said, some people, they go to the level one for very different reasons. But again, you should still have the responsibilities on you with a level one, not just to be able to move better or teach someone to move better, but it's to be able to understand, how should I be programming for myself or for another individual? And CrossFit in its definition really gives it to us, right? So we'll say the whole definition. It's constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity across broad time and modal domains. So if we break that down, and this goes along with the fitness pyramid, is that we have nutrition at the bottom. It's followed by metabolic conditioning, gymnastics, weightlifting, and then our sport, right? So whether that's CrossFit, an actual sport, or it's you doing your chores at your house, right? Those are the things that we try to kind of guide ourselves in that direction. We try not to go out of order, because it literally has shown us that if we follow this equation or recipe, that's what you're going to get the success that you want. So for us, it's about that constantly varied piece, right? You need to be able to understand the modalities that we do in CrossFit, and that breeds us the best results. And so we basically have three. We have the monostructural, we have gymnastics, and we have weightlifting, right? That external weight. And it's about finding those pieces and then constantly keeping them different on a day in, day out basis. It doesn't mean that you can't from time to time follow some type of strength program. Maybe you want to specifically hone in on back squat for the next 8 weeks. Well, what I wouldn't do is also do a bench press, deadlift, a weightlifting program every single day, right? If you want a back squat every single Monday, that is okay. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they need to look very, 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 very different.
Yeah.
Keep that varied. Those kinds of things. So understanding the differences between those, and then comes in the functional movements, right? That's what all these things are, but we really do hone in on 9 of them specifically. It's our foundational movements, our presses, our pulls, and our squats. And then after that, it's understanding and getting across to people that we all have a different type of intensity, right? We're asking that everyone gives us high intensity, but I already know this: you're a faster runner than me. Does that mean that if Caden runs a 12-second 100 meter, that if I'm not running 12 seconds, I'm not performing this at a high intensity? No. It's saying
relative.
It's relative.
Yeah.
Exactly. And at the end of all this, what you'll really come to find is that the thing that we care the most about is being prepared, right? So GPP, general prepared, or physical preparedness. And that's what we're actually trying to get all of our athletes in here to do. That's the baseline level. And that's what you said, right? That this is the most important thing to us. I love doing competitive stuff. I love doing sports specific things, but this is where I live, and then it branches out to those things, right?
Yeah.
So after that, just kind of, finishing up the definition across broad time and modal domains. This is what gets really fun and interesting. And I love having these conversations with strength athletes. I love having this conversation with conditioned athletes, endurance athletes. You weren't meant to go and run 2 hours every single day. You weren't meant to just lift for 1 second, sit for 5 minutes, so like that's kind of the last little piece for us. Yeah, we have some titles and acronyms that people don't understand, but basically, like, you want to even constantly vary the times in which you're doing something. So, right, not 15 minutes every day, but sometimes 5, sometimes 40. Do your task priorities, do your time priorities, those kinds of things. So that's really the difference. And then lastly, I would just say for us, it has nothing to do with programming, but I do think that it's something that needs to be said. The reason why our CrossFit class programming is so powerful is because it's community-based. It's not saying that you can't have a community inside of team training. You are obviously with a team, but it's far less specific to the group. It's more specific to that person. And then obviously our competitive programmers, programming athletes, like, obviously sometimes we do team workouts. We do things very similar to that of a class, but it's at your own time. It's at your own pace. It's kind of like, I think you had told me just the other day that for your PE credit, you took it online. That's very different than...
It's not as much fun.
Not as much fun, right? Yeah, like you weren't with people. You still learned. You still got what you needed to get out of it. But it's very, very different, right? And actually, I think you even told me that you didn't take the final, so you got to be... I bet you would have taken the final if you would have had to go to class.
Yeah, I totally forgot about it because it's all online. I was like... I got done with all my finals. I think I was done on Wednesday, and then I went home and then got my grade back, and I was like, oh, I was supposed to take that test on Thursday.
Right.
Whoops. But I like that's why I think CrossFit has so much power, because of the community aspect. A lot of our members are obviously struggling right now because they're having such a hard time being away from one another.
Right.
It's so much fun to come in here and get fitness with people who are trying to do the same thing. I'll be the first one to say, for me personally at least, I find no enjoyment going into a gym that just has a bunch of machines around and everyone's walking around with headphones on, not talking to each other and just looking at themselves in the mirror. I'll just say it. I think that's dumb. I think coming into a gym with a lot of like-minded people who care about their health and fitness and want to have a good time while they're doing it is a blast. It's so much fun. And that's a message that I love being able to communicate to new people. Like when we do our on-ramps and all of that kind of stuff, it's so powerful. And I think understanding that, we're chasing fitness, not speciality in anything particular. Not saying there's anything wrong with someone who wants to be able to run 2 miles every day and multiple miles a week and that be their thing. Great. At least you're moving. At least you're off the couch. Same thing with someone who just wants to lift heavy stuff all the time. That's totally fine too. My only thing is don't call it fitness, because it's not. It's just speciality, and we're targeting fitness.
For
so
sure.
It's a lot of fun. I love it.
Yeah, I probably have nothing to add to that. I fully agree. I fully agree with you on that.